Welcome back to Insight on Cap Radio. I'm your host, Vicki Gonzalez. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, simply put, a legend. A petite yet powerful woman who fought against sexism, fought for equal rights, and was and still is a role model for women all across the nation. The former Supreme Court Justice passed away in September of 2020 at the age of 87. This weekend in Stockton, there will be a very special performance at the San Joaquin Delta College dedicated to Ginsburg. It's a mix of music, narration, and poetry. The Stockton Symphony presents a world premiere of Ruth Bader Ginsburg in Tune with Justice. The performance celebrates the remarkable achievements of Ginsburg as a trailblazing Supreme Court justice. Joining us to share more about what to expect this weekend are Peter Jaffe, the music director and conductor of the Stockton Symphony, as well as Victoria Bond, who is the composer and conductor of In Tune with Justice. It is a pleasure to have both of you on Insight today. Welcome, Victoria and Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting us. It's really great to be here. And actually, Vicki, it's a pair of performances. And so if you can't make it on one day, you can come to the other. So we've got a Saturday evening performance at 7 p.m. and a Sunday matinee at 2:30. And just as you said, this world premiere is really the centerpiece of this program. And we've got our composer right here. We flew her out from New York. We've got Victoria Bond here.
In this case, I'm just here as composer. Peter is actually going to be conducting my work.
Oh, that's great. What makes it a world premiere, Peter?
Oh, well, that's simple. It's never been done before. When you give a performance for the very first time, it's a world premiere. And so Victoria and I have known each other for decades. We've been fellow guest faculty members at a conducting institute in South Carolina. And so we've sat next to each other coaching a bunch of wannabe conductors. But she is not only a conductor, she's an excellent composer. And it's kind of like, I would imagine all this time she was thinking, Peter, when are you going to do one of my pieces? And we're finally doing it.
And we are now here. Victoria, explain how and why you came up with In Tune with Justice. What does it mean to you?
Well, I find Ruth Bader Ginsburg, first of all, to be a very inspiring person. And originally, when Peter and I had talked about collaborating on a work and a commission, it was going to be another piece. But then when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, it was, I really would like to do something to honor her memory. And the connection with music is a natural because she was an avid opera goer. And so it just seemed like a piece that was made for a situation, I should say, that was made for music.
Where did you find the inspiration, given that this hasn't been done before?
That is easy. I mean, her words are, first of all, I must say that Jane Vile Jaffe was the one who came up with the script because, interestingly enough, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as a judge, her words are very factual, but her life was full of drama. And that didn't come into her actual direct quotes. So Jane crafted a fabulous script that gives all of the drama of the struggles that she went through. I mean, all of us as women and as mutual Vicki Victorias, I must say, that the kind of struggles that we all have gone through and that she had to go through, being of another generation, are full of drama.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's wonderful that we're doing a piece where my wife crafted the narration.
Of course. Yeah.
What a proud moment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's listen to a song that inspired you, Victoria. This is Soul of a Nation. Let's take a listen.
Clip is. Because if we're going to hear a world premiere, we can't possibly bring a clip of what we're going to hear to your studio because it has never been recorded before. So that's actually a sample of a beautiful piece Victoria wrote, another narrational piece.
Yeah. And you were cut off when the music was playing. So, but yeah, Victoria, I was just curious when it comes to Soul of a Nation, it's not going to be part of this weekend, but what resonated with you in terms of inspiration?
I wrote that piece. and it's about Thomas Jefferson. And I like the form of narration plus music. The famous Lincoln portrait of Aaron Copeland was actually the first piece that both Peter and I have conducted many times. And I think the idea of spoken rather than sung words means that those words can really be understood. And so it's a form that I like a lot. And I've done a number of pieces using that form. And so with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that obviously seemed to me the best way to bring her words and the underlying emotions. So the music and the words have a different role to play, but they're complementary.
And Victoria has been so smart about the way she crafted this piece. She's built in the flexibility and even some vamp passages because it's designed to have a narrator that might not know how to read music. You know, when you do one of these pieces like the Lincoln Portrait or Victoria's world premiere, you never know whether the person is going to have, it shouldn't be a prerequisite. And so she's so smart about the flexibility that she's built in. And we're working with Stockton's poet laureate, Tama Brisbane.
Yeah, that is incredible. Tell us about that collaboration, Peter.
Tama has an organization called With Our Words that she founded many, many years ago. And Stockton has a couple of times gone to the East Coast and competed for a title called All-American City. And back in 2015, Tama took a group of people, including Brandon Leake, the big spoken word star of America's Got Talent recently. And they went there with this spoken word presentation, and that helped win the award. And Tom and I have worked on a bunch of projects together, and so it's just so cool to have her be the narrator for this world premiere.
Yeah. We're going to play another clip. Even if people don't go to the opera, I think a lot of people are familiar with the next clip we're going to listen to. See, everyone's bouncing around in the audio booth right now.
I hope so. Yeah. So that was the overture to Mozart's opera, The Marriage of Figaro. And it was actually Ruth Bader Ginsburg's favorite opera. And Victoria is such a genius at taking ingredients and repurposing them. I mean, think about the great food shows where they tell you, take all these ingredients and make them into something different. Maybe you want to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I'm sure many of your listeners have seen the films about her, had a mischievous sense of humor, and was a tremendous liveliness to her. And so not only was Mozart Marriage of Figaro one of her favorite operas, but the spirit of the overture, I felt, captured that liveliness and that mischievousness of her character. So I wanted to use those emotions plus a little fragments of some patriotic America the Beautiful and the Star-Spangled Banner, and to sort of throw all of these, as Peter says, cooking ingredients into the stew. And what came out? Well, you'll have to hear for yourself.
It sounds pretty yummy. Victoria, I can't ignore the timeliness of this. I mean, we're in the middle of a confirmation process for another Supreme Court justice, which, if confirmed, would be historic. I mean, does that make this weekend's performances any more special to you? And if so, why?
Well, it's absolutely fortuitous circumstances. We could not have planned this.
Yeah, we had no idea when we planned this project that this would be the case.
But it's so timely. It's absolutely perfect. And, it's art imitating life, imitating art. There's a circle that goes around. And so we're particularly happy that these circumstances have come together at this time.
Yeah.
The other thing that's fascinating about Ruth Bader Ginsburg being an opera fan is that her opera buddy was Antonin Scalia. Mm-hmm. And so you've got two Supreme Court justices. I mean, we all think that in an ideal world, the Supreme Court should not be politicized. Justice should not be political. But quite frankly, they were at opposite ends of the ideological spectrum. And yet they overcame that in their mutual love of opera. And they would go to operas together. And they were even cast as supernumeraries in an opera production. And it's that kind of civility and public discourse that I think we need more of today, that you can have one of your best friends be somebody that you're at the opposite ends of the spectrum from.
Yeah, they even traveled together. I remember seeing some photos of them on vacation with each other.
Yeah. And of course, it's a no-brainer, right? If an inspiration for Victoria was the overture to Mare of Figaro, we are opening that program with that piece.
Oh, that's great. You also have a special tribute planned at the beginning of the performance acknowledging what's happening around the world.
That is absolutely right. I'm glad you brought that up. We have added to the very beginning of each of these performances the Ukrainian national anthem. And it's a really heartfelt moment where we're paying tribute to all the people who are, quite frankly, just struggling for survival right now.
Yeah. Going beyond In Tune with Justice, which there are two performances people can take in Saturday and Sunday. Peter, what more is being planned at Stockton Symphony? What's on the calendar this year?
We also have in May a tribute to our local hero astronaut, Jose Hernandez. And it's going to be kind of like This Is Your Life with music, and that's going to be on May 15th. But if we can rewind to the current weekend for just a minute, not only have we got Victoria's premiere and pieces of music on that program, but we're featuring youth and their inspiration. And so we have middle school kids, high school kids who have been inspired to write poetry or to create visual artwork. And they were coached by the poet laureate Tama Brisbane. And so that's going to be on stage right in the middle of the program, right before we hear Victoria's premiere. And then the end of that program has Stravinsky's Firebird Suite. And so it's just a program for something for everybody.
Yeah, really. I mean, it sounds wonderful. I guess my last question for the both of you is, how do you want people to feel when they leave?
Uplifted.
Inspired. The idea of hope and coming back to our values as a nation.
And again, with the person of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, somebody who had so many negative barbs thrown at her and who was able to not only survive them, but to overcome them and to bring us all a message of empowerment.
Yeah.
One of the final things in the narration in this piece is RBG talking about how she was inspired by youth and the hope for the future. And that's why we've brought that young talent right onto the stage right before we play Victoria's piece.
It's sort of the Olympic relay of, her ideas of inspiration being passed on to another generation.
Yeah, it's not only looking at her accomplishments on the court, but who she was as a person outside of the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
And I would also imagine, given that we've been 2 years into a pandemic and creativity, there's been a drought of it. I mean, it's coming back. It's being revitalized. That probably takes on a deeper level of meaning and appreciation.
Well, all of us as professional musicians have suffered over these past 2 years because we really haven't been able to have live performances. So the fact that this orchestra is going to be live on stage with a live audience is a really big deal.
I got to tell you, these performances we've been able to resurrect ourselves with the Stockton Symphony. It's been a real love fest, with the players on the stage and us getting to reconnect with the audience, because that's our mission. If we can't connect with an audience and make them feel these wonderful things, our life is not complete.
Yeah.
And I think everybody realizes now, with all the virtual performances that we've seen in the past 2 years, it's just not the same watching it on your computer screen as it is to actually be there experiencing it with other people, with live musicians in the moment.
It's what we live for.
Yep.
Amen.
Peter and Victoria, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
That is Peter Jaffe and Victoria Bond. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's In Tune with Justice performs Saturday and Sunday at San Joaquin Delta College in Stockton. That is it for Insight today. You can learn more about our guests at capradio.org/insight. You can also subscribe to the Insight podcast. You are listening to Firebird, which will be playing at San Joaquin Delta College for this performance. Thank you to producer Cynthia Lopez, Nick Dobis, with managing editor Aram Sarkissian. Our digital team is Chris Hagan, Emily Zentner, Helga Salinas, and Megan Minata. Insight's technical director is Mark Jones, and our engineer, Chris Feltz. Joe Barr is Cap Radio's chief content officer, and I'm Vicki Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you back here on Monday.